First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
More than 3 dozen men are behind bars in Marion County, charged after an undercover online sex sting operation. This is WUFT's First at 5. I'm Carlos Corzo.
And I'm Nicole Muscolino. Florida's Attorney General and Sheriff Billy Woods held a press conference about the operation. They said a total of 40 men agreed to meet with a child they thought were between the ages of 13 and 15. Investigators say the men engaged in conversations and ultimately traveled to meet at a predetermined location. That's where they were met by law enforcement officers and arrested. Deputies say some of the men traveled more than an hour with the intent to meet with a child in Marion County. Sheriff Billy Woods shared some strong words for the suspects.
I have zero sympathy for them. Every one of them knew that they were making an arrangement to meet with a child, not an adult, a child. They sent disgusting texts, photos, videos. It's all in there.
They say they also seized guns and drugs from some of the suspects. Several other agencies assisted with the sting, including the Ocala Police Department, FBI, and Department of Homeland Security.
Right now, the Marion County Sheriff's Office is working to learn what led to a deadly shooting in Summerfield. Deputies say they were called to a home on Southeast 21st Court just after 7 this morning. That's when they found the man suffering from a gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Detectives say they're working to obtain any information about a possible suspect, but they're investigating it as a murder.
Oppressive heat is on tap for another straight day in north central Florida. All of north central Florida is under a heat advisory into the evening. Emergency responders are urging neighbors, especially those who work outside, to make sure to take adequate breaks and hydrate. UF meteorologist William Maxham is live in the studio tracking the heat. William, there's rain in the forecast that could provide some temporary relief.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of it in the short term. We've got better rain chances over the weekend today. Made it up into the upper 90s, 97 Stark. It made it to 96. Gainesville 95. It's a high temperature in Ocala, but it is feeling like 110 Ocala, 108. Our heat index in Gainesville, we're seeing a couple of showers and storms, but activity pretty limited. Some storms, though, a little south of Ocala showing a bit of heavy rain, but most of us will stay dry this evening. The heat holds on for a couple more days.
Several Gainesville community organizations plan to protest the governor's state Doge-level investigation into the city. We told you last week when Governor DeSantis spoke in Gainesville and said the new department will look into what it calls wasteful local government spending. The organizations protesting say the move is politically motivated. Representatives from the Alachua County NAACP and League of Women Voters are among those planning to be in attendance. The protest starts at noon tomorrow at City Hall.
New at 5, fire crews in Marion County are working to learn what caused a church to go up in flames earlier this week. Firefighters received the call just before 6 a.m. Monday morning at the Antioch Missionary Baptist Church in Citra. You can see just how heavy the flames were from these pictures. The church could not be saved. No one was hurt in the fire.
The state is scheduled Thursday to execute Edward Jezewski for the 1994 murders of his wife and 2 children in Okaloosa County. It would be the 9th execution this year, a modern era record. His attorneys have gone to the U.S. Supreme Court to try to halt his execution. He received 3 death sentences in the murders of his wife Sylvia, his 7-year-old son Edward, and his 5-year-old daughter Anna. Death penalty opponents say the increasing pace of executions is concerning. 2 more executions are scheduled for August, and as of today, there are 267 people on Florida's death row.
A political group in South Florida is making its stance about their local representatives well known. New billboards call Republican Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart and Carlos Jimenez hypocrites. The group, called Keep Them Honest, says that's because neither have done anything to address what it calls human rights violations at the migrant detention center facility known as Alligator Alcatraz. Diaz-Balart's parents immigrated from Cuba before he was born, and Jimenez himself immigrated from Cuba. The group says both men are turning their backs on fellow immigrants. The billboards are on the highly traveled Interstate 95 and Dolphin Expressway in Miami.
For the members of Congress to do nothing in face of these human rights violations that are taking place at Alligator Alcatraz and the larger cruel treatment of immigrants in the state of Florida. It's unconscionable, and again, a betrayal of this very community that they supposedly represent.
The group hopes the message on the billboard will reach millions of drivers every month. Willis said more billboards like these are on the way.
The man who was shown on video being punched and dragged from his car by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office says he was also held at gunpoint. During a press conference Tuesday, the attorneys for 22-year-old William McNeil Jr. say they have evidence at least one of the responding officers drew their firearm. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump showed a photo that he said proved McNeil's description of the February 19th traffic stop. McNeil's attorneys say they want accountability for the officers involved. Crump also said the incident brings discriminatory practices by some law enforcement officials back into the spotlight.
We believe that this was excessive force, that this was a violation of William McNeil's Fourth Amendment constitutional rights against the prohibition of unlawful searches and seizure. There is no question that William wasn't afraid.
Video from the traffic stop went viral earlier this month. It shows a JSO officer punching McNeil during the stop. JSO Sheriff T.K. Waters says the force that was used was not excessive.
Next month, the FWC Commission will make its final decision on their proposed controversial bear hunt. When we were in Ocala back in June, commissioners initially approved the hunt's plan. During the August meeting, the staff will present any final amendments to the hunting rules and establish a structure based on bear population information. The meeting will take place August 13th and 14th in Havana, a small city just north of Tallahassee.
A new traffic signal was installed in Ocala at the intersection of Southeast 58th Avenue and Southeast 85th Lane. The signal is currently in flash mode, serving as a temporary alert to help drivers adjust to the full signal's activation. When you encounter a flashing yellow, remain alert and proceed with caution, and yield to pedestrians. A red flashing light requires drivers to come to a complete stop before proceeding when safe. The traffic signal will become fully operational within the coming weeks, hoping to enhance safety at the intersection.
Local school districts are working to inform parents about a new cell phone law ahead of the start of the new school year. Florida House Bill 1105 places new limits on when students can use cell phones at school. Elementary and middle school students are not permitted at all during the day, while high school students may only use them if a teacher allows it for educational purposes. State leaders say the law is designed to minimize distractions.
Up next, when First at 5 returns, the Pacific Coast under tsunami alerts after a massive earthquake hit overnight. We'll tell you how families were able to quickly mobilize to escape the waves.
And tens of millions of Americans under a dangerous heat dome. What the nation's big cities are doing to keep their neighbors safe.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
All eyes have been on the Federal Reserve today. President Trump has been pressuring Fed Chair Jerome Powell to lower the rates for weeks, but that did not happen. For months, President Trump has pressured Fed Chair Jerome Powell and even called him names. The president insists he should lower interest rates to help the housing market and Americans' purchasing power. Today, the Fed not budging, holding interest rates steady.
The Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged.
We should be lowering the rates. You know, each point that this gentleman keeps up costs us $365 billion a year. It's all because of the Fed.
But the Fed still believes it could actually drive up inflation. He wants to hold off during the market uncertainty stemming from the president's landmark tariffs.
Many along the Pacific coast are breathing a sigh of relief as they were bracing for the aftermath of one of the strongest earthquakes ever recorded. Tourists and neighbors in Hawaii evacuated to higher ground overnight as an 8.8 magnitude earthquake hit Russia. While the threats are downgraded, Michael Yoshida reports authorities continue to monitor conditions and urge everyone to remain vigilant.
Tsunami alerts across Hawaii sending residents and tourists racing to evacuate coastal areas.
Our number one priority is life safety, and so right now it's an easy thing. Get away from the beaches, get inland, and get upward.
Roads and highways packed as people scrambled for higher ground.
you can expect a tsunami wave to hit the state, and it will not just hit one beach. It will wrap around the islands very likely.
Well, we were up visiting Volcano National Park and saw the tsunami warning go off on our phones.
The warnings triggered after an 8.8 magnitude earthquake struck near Russia's east coast. Waves from the quake tied for the 6th strongest ever recorded, lashing Russia's coast. As tsunami warnings were issued from Japan to Chile, with huge waves predicted for parts of French Polynesia.
This earthquake basically moves the seafloor upward by roughly a meter, a few feet, something like that. And that leads to a bulge of water that starts traveling across the ocean.
In the U.S., the tsunami waves hit shores in Hawaii, California, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska overnight. Waves, some as high as 5 feet, were recorded on Maui's North Shore. As warnings were downgraded across the U.S., officials from Hawaii to California saying the worst was over, but urging everyone to remain vigilant.
We were fortunate this time. There was significant tsunami surges. We're still dealing with those now, but it did stay within the banks.
In Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida.
More than 100 million Americans across the country are under heat alerts this week, including right here in north central Florida. Meteorologists say 24 cities set new record highs on Tuesday. In the New York City metro area, there are close to 600 cooling centers. City leaders say the temperatures are so stifling that the subway system was slowed down because of power outages. Boston also seeing record temperatures from the northeast to the southern plains. And Jacksonville is among the southern cities that have seen close to 120-degree heat indexes.
Indoors, find the shade. It's been hot when we're out in the sun here. We walked over from Warwick, and we stayed on the shadow side of the streets.
Emergency management officials are urging people to reduce their time outside, wear light-colored clothing, and stay hydrated.
Well, we do have a few showers and thunderstorms breaking up today's high heat, but a cold front is going to bring us more substantial drops in temperatures headed our way in the next few days. We'll track it next.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
It has been hot in Gainesville as of late.
Temperatures have reached 100 degrees over the past 3 days.
Yep, that's 3 days in a row where we made it to 100 Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But today, hey, only in the 90s. Just slightly cooler today. We still have a heat advisory in effect through 7 o'clock. Heat index values over 108 degrees are expected to remain in place for the next couple of hours. And look at this, heat alerts all over the mid-south and into the southern plains. Even we have extreme heat warning across the Mississippi River Valley. That's what we had yesterday when temperatures plus the moisture in the air made it feel about 115 yesterday afternoon. Currently it's 96, feeling like 111. We do have a few clouds here and there, but showers are kind of limited today. Out to the west, we're seeing a lot of blue skies here. Not a lot of thunderstorms popping up just yet, but we think we may see a couple more hours where that is a possibility. 95 at Stark, it's 94 into the Villages, and Marion County has been doing a little bit better with showers and thunderstorms. We'll get to the radar in a moment. Yesterday we did break that record. 99 was the old record. 100 degrees yesterday. That record has stood for 100 years. It feels like 107 Palatka and 108 in Bronson. That's the highest number we have out there right now. But what's helping is some thunderstorms, and zooming into Marion County, we do see some pretty heavy rains over the I-75 corridor, basically from Ocala down to near the Villages. And further north, well, not as much activity across Alachua County. We do have a couple of storms in far western Bradford County, but tomorrow likely even drier than today. We've got more high heat, but the thunderstorms are going to be most likely occurring to our west, so it is going to be limited heat relief. But maybe a shower or two over the next couple of hours before things settle down overnight tonight, and very little activity expected tomorrow. Temperatures are going to be zooming up into the mid-90s, and looking ahead as we get into Thursday and Friday, this is what is going to bring us relief. It's a cold front. It moves in Saturday, and that will drop temperatures, but up until then, it's going to be into the mid-90s. Let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. Temperatures do drop over the weekend, where may have highs only into the 90s on Sunday, into the 80s, but we're forecasting 90 degrees on the nose. But next week, the heat returns and rain chances decrease around the middle of the week.
Coming up, a Gator is stepping away from football. Find out what head coach Billy Napier has to say about it. And yet another piece of injury news for the Dolphins. We'll have everything you need to know about who's next up in Miami after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Josh Stevens. After 6 hard-fought years at the collegiate level, Florida head coach Billy Napier announced yesterday that Gator safety Asa Turner will be hanging up the cleats and riding off into the sunset.
Asa contributed to our team last year. I'm very thankful for the way he approached being a teammate, his attitude, but he's at a point where he's not going to play. Look, Asa did a great job when he got here and was, a really big contributor earlier in the season, got injured, and then hasn't quite been the same guy.
Season opener before going down with a season-ending injury. The injury bug is chomping as several other Gators have been limited in practice so far. Wide receiver Khalil Jackson will look to regain a starting spot after a torn ACL kept him sidelined for all of 2024, while running back Trayon Webb, who has appeared in 15 games for the Gators, is still working up to full speed following a fractured tibia against Mississippi State last season. Amongst the injury concerns, the Gators received some positive news yesterday. Offensive lineman Jake Slaughter and Austin Barber were named to the preseason watch list for the Outland Trophy, while defensive lineman Caleb Banks was named to the watch list for the Nagurski. The Outland Trophy, given to the best lineman in the country, is just another recognition for Slaughter, who has already named a preseason first-team All-American. Banks is one of the 60 members for the Nagurski watch list, given to the best defender in the country. These three are looking to become the first Gator ever to win either award. Just days after Miami corner Artie Burns suffered a torn ACL, disaster struck again for the Dolphins. Starting cornerback Kader Kohu will be out for the season after suffering a right knee injury in training camp. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel spoke about Kohu's mindset after the injury earlier today.
I get concerned for guys that get stuck in that fixation of the opportunity lost. Kader's mindset triggered like that, where he was like, yeah, this is tough, but I guarantee I'm going to come back better.
Despite being undrafted out of East Texas A&M in 2022, Kohu made an impact in South Beach immediately, starting 13 games his rookie year alongside All-Pro Xavier Howard. Since Kohu's debut in 2022, he's led all Dolphins with 28 pass breakups and has also intercepted 3 passes. Kohu's injury depletes an already razor-thin defensive back room for the Dolphins, who will be rolling out an entirely new group in 2025 following the trade of Jalen Ramsey earlier this month. One player who could step up into a starting role? Former Gator corner Jason Marshall Jr., who was drafted in the 5th round by Miami earlier this year. And before we go, a trio of incoming Gators were named to Baseball America's Top 100 transfer list. Outfielder Jaden Bastian, pitcher Russell Sandeffer, and catcher Carson Bowen will look to make a quick impact here in Gainesville next season. That's it for sports. William will have one final weather update after the break.
We're looking really warm over the next few days, mid to upper 90s, but low potential for showers and storms. That changes over the weekend. Temperatures drop and the rain moves in next week. The heat returns. We're back up into the mid 90s by the middle of next week, with rain chances once again decreasing around the middle of the week.
Thank you for joining us, William. And thank you for joining us at WFT for our First at 5 broadcast. We're back here tomorrow for another edition.
And feel free to check more of your news at WUFT.org or on all of our social media platforms. You have a good night, Gainesville.